Today we're going to talk to a professional organizer that lives in a 200 square foot space. How does she do it? We'll find out today on Keeping You Organized. Well, joining us today on Keeping You Organized, somewhere in the United States in an RV on the road, is Ramona Creel. Ramona, welcome, and let us know where you are today.
Thank you. I am actually in Atlanta, and it is hot as Hades here right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything wrong, did you, to get that, did you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think it's my fault.
Okay.
But...
All right. Anyway, well, listen, we wanted to get you on the show today and talk organizing, because that's what this show is all about. We reach out to the best professional organizers, and of course, you're in that category. You've written a couple books: The Professional Organizer's Bible, The A to Z of Getting Organized. RamonaCreel.com is your website. Of course, if that just went by way too fast for people, I will say that again at the end of the program. But anyway, let's just talk a little bit about your background and what got you into professional organizing in the first place.
Well, you know, my mother was a child of the Depression, and she was a little bit of a pack rat, and I always tell people that I kind of had to learn to be organized in self-defense, that it was either that or I was going to get buried under a pile of clutter. So
were both your mom and dad that way, or was it just your mom? Or
just my mom.
Okay.
Yeah. My dad really was not so much with the accumulating of stuff, but now he was the other way around. It was more the food. Like if you found a bargain at the grocery store, he would load up on canned food, things like that. But then, you know, he was actually better about cleaning out than my mother was. So.
Now, did your mother have like a bunch of stuff sitting around still in the original package, never opened, but she got a great deal on it, right?
Yeah. In fact, when I would go and visit her, this is years and years and years later when I was a grown person, she had canned goods in her cabinet, I think, that were from when I was in about middle school.
Oh.
Yeah. And my favorite was always when she passed away a few years ago, we cleaned out her house. And one of the things I found was a bicentennial quilt that she started working on in 1976.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was 4 years old at the time. She still hadn't finished it, and the damn thing was still in her closet. And I was just,
my goodness.
yeah.
Oh, that's great. So how long have you been a professional organizer? And have you always been called that, or were you kind of doing it before, you know, it was called professional organizing, or what kind of morphed you into the position?
Well, I actually have been organizing for about 15 years. What was going on is I am a social worker by trade. I have my undergraduate degree in social work and my master's in urban planning, and I was working at the Atlanta Housing Authority running a welfare to work program. And it was a whole lot of asking my clients basically, how does your life suck, and let me help you find a resource or a solution that'll make it better. And when I realized I just couldn't work for government anymore, I essentially shifted those skills in a different direction. And that's pretty much what I do with my organizing clients now. I say, tell me how something is not working for you. Tell me where you're experiencing a difficulty, and let's find a solution or a system or something that will make your life easier. So it's kind of the same process. It's just slightly different people that I'm working with now.
Well, now, since we teased about the RV, you've got to give people kind of the backstory on when you decided to do the RV, what prompted you to do it, and kind of how you do it. I mean, because how do you run a business and travel all over the country in an RV? I guess I'd like to know.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. We have been RVing, full-time RVing, my husband and I and 2 cats for 5 years now. And I like to joke that what happened is we just didn't really like cutting the grass. I'm only halfway joking, because really we were bad homeowners. We were not good at maintaining a house. And we just thought it was really stupid to be paying for, you know, mortgage and utilities and maintenance and all these things when we wanted to be traveling anyway. So we decided it'd be a good idea to be turtles and take our little house on our back with us. The logistics are a little interesting because you have to have some way of getting your mail. You have to have some way of connecting to the internet. You have to have a way of communicating with your clients. And thank God technology has finally moved where it has, because we have a mail forwarding service that I can go online anytime and say, here's where I am, send me my mail here. So I have a permanent address. You know, we carry a little MiFi card around with us, one of those pocket MiFi cards where we have our own internet everywhere we go. So as long as we have a cell phone connection, we can stay in touch with anybody. And I mean, we're pretty much able to function in most places in the U.S. I may not be able to run my business from the bottom of the Grand Canyon, but most other places we're kind of good to go.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And from an organizer's perspective, how many square feet are you dealing with there anyway? I mean, because you can only take kind of the ultra essentials, right?
Yeah, we have slightly less than 200 square feet, which even people that live in New York sometimes gasp and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe that's how little you have." But I tell you, when people come and see our space, and I mean, I've had tons of people troop through here and look at our space, they're always amazed at how efficient we are at using the space we have. We
Okay.
have plenty of room for everything. We've got room for work and room for play and living and all of it. It's just a matter, hey, of being organized. So it's practice what you preach.
Okay, now fess up. Do you have like a storage shelter somewhere, or
No,
you don't have a little?
I do not. I have a couple of boxes of tax records and, stuff, memorabilia stuff like yearbooks that are really heavy to carry around. I have maybe 3 or 4 boxes of that stuff at my sister's house in a closet. And other than that, if it does not fit in this Airstream or in the truck, it does not go with us.
Okay. Do you pull a car or drive a separate car behind, or is it all in that one unit there?
Well, we pull the Airstream with a truck because it's an Airstream travel trailer.
I get it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So like the back of the truck, our back of our truck has a tonneau lid on it, a locking
Yep.
lid. That's basically our basement. That's where we keep tools and our camping equipment and the roller blades and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then everything else is in the house with us.
So you do the professional organizing. What does your husband do as a virtual job on the road?
Well, he is a web designer and also a graphic artist. I'm very pleased to announce that we both have our art, my photography and his art, in the Dragon Con show while we're here in
nice.
Atlanta. So that's a kind of another side thing that we do is we kind of doing our art and our creative things as we travel as well.
Oh, good. All right. Well, let's get back to more organizing topics,
Yes.
and talk about your book, The A to Z of Getting Organized. What inspired you to write that, and kind of what is it? How is it laid out? Is it laid out A to Z, or what's the premise?
That would be it. Yes, you got it right there. Actually, I wrote a blog series that was the A to Z of Getting Organized. And for every letter, I was trying to discuss a concept. I'm not talking about, here's a technique for how you hang your clothes or do your filing system or whatever. I'm talking basic organizing principles that if you understand these, you can apply them anywhere in your life and you can organize anything from home to office, kids, adults, any of it. And so what I did is I went to my husband, fine graphic artist that he is, and I said, I want to make a picture book out of this. Can you create fun little images to go with each of these concepts? And that's what we basically did. So it's kind of a neat joint project that we've done together.
Okay, let's pick a letter. Anything from, let's do the letter L. Am I putting you on the spot? No.
Well, I have to remember what L was. I can remember some of them off the top of my head. Can I pick a different letter?
Yes, pick a different letter.
Okay. So the one I always remember, because it's such a weird word and people always look at me like, what? Is B is for beneficence.
Okay.
Okay. So beneficence is all about the concept of when you're cleaning out, if you just feel like you're throwing something away or wasting it or whatever, you're less likely to want to let it go.
Okay.
Beneficence is the idea that if you can find someone else who can use it and you give it to them, be it a charity or a friend or a family member, or even you sell it, you know that thing has a useful life after it leaves you, you're going to be a whole lot more likely to let it go.
Oh.
So those are the kind of principles that I'm talking about.
What was the picture that went along with that? Do you remember that?
Oh, it's like a little grandma, passing something on to her little grandkid. And it's funny because the little grandkid is a redhead. My husband has a proliferation of redheads in this picture book. But what can I say?
Yes, well, that's good. That's good. So, well, listen, let's move on to maybe some stories about some of the organizing that you've done for different people over the years. I'm sure there's a variety of some are maybe more mundane and regular, but how about some of those kind of crazy stories that they're only made for television? What?
Yeah. You can't believe it's true. Yeah, I had one client actually here in Atlanta who was a very successful realtor, but in her house, she was just chronically disorganized. I mean, stuff everywhere, literally from the floor up the wall with paper and piles and things like that. And we were cleaning out her office one day, and I have this philosophy that when you find an envelope that has not been opened, you need to open it before you throw it out because you never know what might be in it. Right. It was something from the IRS, and she said, oh, don't worry about that. It's just probably a notice that I was late on my taxes. And when we opened it up, it was a $3,000 refund check. And she actually was able to cash that, and that's probably my craziest find in any of the piles that I've been through.
Yeah, and it was this one place that had all kinds of piles? I mean, was it a big job?
Oh, yeah, every single room of the house. And I mean, literally, she was not sleeping in her bed because her bed was covered in stuff. Mm-hmm. She wasn't cooking in the kitchen because the stove had mail and things piled on top of it. I mean, it was just really, it was an extreme situation, right. Very extreme.
I would normally not believe it, but when we had an aunt one time and we went to her house after she died because she kind of was a loner. And we walked through this house, and it was a huge house. She'd been there. The family had owned it for like 100 years. and in every one of the bedrooms, literally there was no room to walk. There was just bags and bags and bags. You wonder how could all this stuff get accumulated, but it does, and that's probably a common problem that happens as well.
Yeah.
So, well, listen, we're going to take a real quick break here, and when we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Professional Organizer's Bible that you wrote, and some more great tips and strategies that people can use for getting organized. So we're talking with Ramona Creel from RamonaCreel.com. We'll be right back here on Keeping You Organized. Looking for a quality file folder that is biodegradable, recyclable, and made through a sustainable manufacturing process? Look no further than the tree-free SuperTab file folders from Smead. Tree-free SuperTab file folders are made from bagasse, a sugarcane waste fiber that is sustainable, bio-based, and a renewable resource. Plus, tree-free SuperTab file folders are the first folders to earn a USDA Bio-Preferred designation, certifying they meet or exceed USDA certified bio-based content guidelines. And since they're SuperTab, they have a 90% larger labeling area so you can write big, write more, and find your files faster. Tree-free SuperTab file folders from Smead. Good for you and for the earth. Smead, keeping you organized. We are back now on Keeping You Organized, and today we have Ramona Creel from RamonaCreel.com. She travels around the country in a 200-square-foot RV, and this RV is her home and her office, and her husband both do virtual work from there, and it must be kind of fun. Now, have you ever had the RV kind of like break down like in the middle of nowhere, or one of those kinds of stories? And
oh yeah, we popped a tire in the middle of nowhere in Nova Scotia, and I was convinced that we were going to have to be towed back to the States to get it fixed because they don't do Airstreams up there. And I will tell you what, those people, if you're going to break down, do it in Canada. Canadians rock because they got the thing fixed overnight. The guy ordered a part. His wife, they put us up for the night and let us sleep on their property. And in the morning, his wife came out with fresh muffins and homemade cheese for us to eat while he was fixing our RV. I thought, who does this? So
wow, that is great. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Professional Organizer's Bible, which is another book that you've written, and give us kind of the thought process behind that.
Well, I actually spend a good bit of my time organizing individuals who have time, paper, and space issues, but then also a good bit of it working with new organizers and veteran organizers trying to help them build their businesses.
Okay.
And so I started out with the idea that I was going to write a book on the organizing industry, on if you want to, from the day you decide you want to be an organizer till the day you decide you don't, here's what you need to know. It kind of mushroomed and grew into 3 volumes. I just released the first volume this year, and it's 405 pages. Holy cow, that was a little insane. I'm going to have, volume 2 is going to be next year, same length, and the volume 3 will be the year after that. But it's essentially meant to be kind of the physician's desk reference for this industry. So everything that you need to know about being successful as an organizer, kind of all in one creation.
Is for someone maybe who's in their 20s or whatever, just embarking on their career, is professional organizing a good career maybe to consider? I mean, are there some good rewards in it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, professionally, it's just very rewarding when you can go in and make such an amazing change in someone's life. When you get done working with a client and they tell you that your services were more valuable to them than therapy, or that you saved their marriage, or that they just feel like they have a huge weight off their shoulders, there is nothing better than that.
Yeah. So let's talk about maybe a new organizer that you've worked with. You do some coaching as well, right? And what are some of the first things that someone needs to do in order to become a professional organizer? Should they go out and like join NAPO right away, or what are some things that they need to do on the front end?
Well, I'm definitely a big fan of joining NAPO. That's one of the first things that I did when I started my business, and it's such a supportive community and filled with people who are willing to share, tell you their stories, tell you the things that they've been through, offer suggestions when you're running into problems. The other thing I always suggest that folks do is you have got to make your business legal. Yeah. We are trying to create a truly professional profession, and you can't do that when you are, working for cash and not paying the IRS and not really acting like a business. You really need to treat your company like it is a true business for it to succeed. And if you want to get to that point that you're full-time, you have to put full-time into it.
Right.
So.
How does someone go about getting their first few clients? Is it just family and friends, and you kind of just get it through word of mouth, or is there a good way to get started if you wanted to be started as that?
Certainly everybody practices, on family and friends, but I'll tell you the very first thing that I did to get my first, I don't know, half dozen clients is I went and participated in a business trade show and set up a little table and told folks, here's what I do for a living and here's how I organize. And I got about, I don't know, 5 or 6 clients from that first show. It was through the Chamber of Commerce. I'm a big believer in in-person networking. You have to get out there and meet people and let them get to know you and get to trust you before they're going to let you into their clutter.
Right.
This is a very intimate relationship, and they're sharing a lot with you that they may not share with other people. So you have to meet people face to face.
Well, you also do a lot of speaking as well, right? So you're out, and what are some of the topics that you talk on?
Well, I will do talks on general organizing. I like to teach people paper management systems. I like to teach them clutter tips. I do a talk on my A to Z of getting organized, where everybody gets a copy of the book and we sit there and go through and talk about the different concepts. But I've actually gotten into some specialty topics as well. I've been doing some speaking on dealing with clutter and hoarding tendencies and organizational issues for seniors in retirement centers. And I'm very much enjoying that one lately. So I'm all over the board, but I do really enjoy getting in there and sharing what I know with people in a one-on-one setting, especially where they can ask lots of questions, because that's where I find you get the best interaction and you get the best information for folks.
Well, how about your own personal organization? And if you're going to try to coach someone in 5 or 10 minutes and say, if you could just get 2 or 3 things done, here's what I do on a daily basis just to stay on task. What would you say for those couple things that are like must-haves, just to get organized?
Well, I think one of the first things is having a very clear understanding of your priorities. I think a lot of people waste a lot of time and a lot of energy during the day on things that really are not important to them. They're important to somebody else. And the sooner you can start to let that stuff go, the more time and energy you're going to have to give to your own concerns and your own organization. But for my clients, the thing that I find that overwhelms them the most, even in this paperless society, is the paper coming in. I like for folks to have a little organizer on their desk, like a little hanging file rack that has just folders in it labeled for each of the things that they do with their paper. So you have a to read and a to pay and a to file and to discuss with my husband or my boss or whatever. And every time a piece of paper comes into your life, you stick it in the right place in that file. And then once a week, set aside some administrative time to go through and empty that, take care of all your to-dos. You can take care of things like email to-dos and phone calls and stuff like that at the same time. But just that regular processing of to-dos, it works wonders for getting things off of people's shoulders.
And do you actually say schedule that time, schedule a block to go through your folder system?
Yes. It needs to be a regular administrative period. And I don't care if it's an hour or a day. I don't care if it's once a week or every morning you spend a little bit of time. But you have to put some time in there to getting the to-dos done. That's the problem with the standard inbox is people dump all this stuff in there and then it never comes back out again. So,
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, what do you got planned for the future? What are some of the things that you're going to do in the next year or two? Any trends you see in the professional organizing field?
Well, I see a lot of people trying to move towards virtual organizing and coaching and things like that. And that's actually something that I've been doing, on the road. I can stop and work with clients in person, but I'm finding that more and more of my clients I'm working with are somewhere else in the country, and I work with them long distance like that. That's becoming a trend within the organizing industry. So my plans actually in the next year is I've got some plans to finish up the next volume of the Professional Organizer's Bible. We're actually putting together another A to Z book, which is going to be the A to Z of simplifying your life. Going to take that kind of a step further. And we're actually taking off next year and going Mardi Gras to Tijuana, so I have travel plans to go with it. So.
Well, and you have to also schedule those off times as well, don't you?
Amen to that, yes.
Yes. Well, let's talk now. We'll got time for maybe one more question. But how about in the last week? I'll just put you on the spot again, so hopefully I'll give you a second or two to think about this.
Oh, okay.
Maybe an organizing tip that you gave to somebody, either in person or virtually, on maybe describe their situation and the tip that you gave them in order to help them solve a particular problem.
I actually just had a client 2 days ago that I went out to her house, and we actually were going to be working on other issues, but she was going through a stack of papers and saying, oh my gosh, this is stuff I've been meaning to shred, and this is stuff I've been meaning to get off of the mailing list, like catalogs and magazines I've been trying to get off of mailing lists. And I said to her, hire your kid. Pay your kid to do that for you. She had all this stuff that was stacked up on her desk, cluttering up her life. And she's got a kid down there sitting on the couch for summer break doing nothing. I said, put her to work and get her to do this stuff for you. Sometimes people don't think about outsourcing in the way that they could. You've got family members, you've got friends. You don't always have to be hiring somebody to do stuff for you. And she thought that that was brilliant. That was going to suddenly get her kid, busy and doing something during the summer, and also get the stack off of her desk.
Yeah,
so.
might as well keep the money in house too, right?
That's right. That's right.
That's great. Well, Ramona, tell people how the best way for them to get a hold of you. Of course, we have RamonaCreel.com. Any other ways you want to let people know about how to get a hold of you?
Yeah, if they want to go to the website, they can email me. They can get my phone number, contact me any way they want. I'm always happy to answer questions. I'm a big giver of free advice, so just holler at me if you have either an organizing issue or if you're thinking about getting in the industry and you have some questions about how that would work. I'm more than happy to tell you whatever I can.
Right, and you do both business and you do residential help as well, right?
Yeah, I'm a generalist. I'm willing to get in almost any situation. I will go in and I will work with corporate folks, and I will go in and get dirty in a garage. I mean, I don't really have any boundaries when it comes to that.
Great. Well, hey, listen, we have a lot more to talk about in future episodes. I know we're going to have you back and talk more tips and strategies, and just really appreciate your time today, and enjoy the weather there in Atlanta while you can, I guess, so to speak. So thanks again, Ramona.
Thank you.
Yes, Ramona Creel from RamonaCreel.com today on Keeping You Organized.